I'm a big outdoors person. I do a lot of hunting and other outdoors things, fishing, just like farm work down at my farm, things like that. Love spending time with my wife. I also am a purple belt and train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so that's something that I'm very passionate about. I used to go to the gym every single morning. I'd go train Jiu-Jitsu at night, and then that kind of started fading away a little bit. I am Jackson. I am from Kansas City, and I got diagnosed on January 11th, 2025 at the age of 27. I've always had stomach issues for like a very long time, like going back to like kind of high school and through college. And I always was just told that it's like acid reflux or GERD or I've got IBS or something like that. And so and looking back over the course of technically like 2024, I was starting to see like my stool like thinning and I had blood in it, but I didn't really realize it at the time. I also was dealing with like, and I've always dealt for a long time with hemorrhoids, so I thought it was just that. And the crazy thing is my sister's actually an oncology nurse, and so I would like talk to her about it and like ask her and honestly like send her pictures and be like, is this okay? And she didn't really think anything of it either because I was healthy. I was a college athlete. I ate right. Like we thought it was just something with my stomach issues. So that I started feeling very like fatigued and kind of like lethargic throughout the year. Like I just didn't really feel motivated to go to the gym. Like I used to go to the gym every single morning. I'd go train jiu-jitsu at night, and then that kind of started fading away a little bit. And then also I would say at the time would probably be the anemia, which I didn't really realize at the time. Like I was very pale. And even I would go to the lake like every week with my parents and I'd be out in the sun and I still was like not getting a tan or any color. And so those were kind of a lot of the things. And then really boiling up to when I had to go to the hospital, I was starting to get really, really tired all the time. And I was just kind of like grumpy. And then I was starting to really notice the blood in my stool. And that's when I started freaking out a little bit. And then actually at about that time, like within a week, I was in the hospital from extreme stomach pain and I was like projectile vomiting. And then they were like, you need to get a scan and go to the ER. It still feels like it was yesterday. I didn't know what to say or like how to respond to it, to be honest. Like I just kind of sat there with like a blank stare on my face. And then I called my wife and she started freaking out and drove to the hospital and stayed the night with me before I got transferred. But like, I felt super sick, obviously, like to my stomach, and I didn't know how to really process it. So like my mom had breast cancer when I was super young, and she's I think like 17 years now, clear and in remission and whatnot. So she's been doing great, but she felt just as sick, you know, knowing that she's got to watch me go through this now after she had to. And so I just didn't really know how to respond. Like I was having, honestly, like at that time, I was kind of numb. I also have a rare mutation, the BRAF mutation, that's only in about 8% of colon cancer patients. We thought it was like an appendicitis or something, or like some infection. We like never in a million years would have thought it was stage 4 colon cancer. And what was wild is like he walked out and he was like, there's a big tumor in your colon and we found spots all over your liver. And then when I officially got diagnosed at KU, they told me that official stage 4 colon cancer, I had a complete bowel blockage and I couldn't go to the bathroom. So I had to get emergency surgery. My colon was about to explode. And then they stopped counting after like 40 tumors on my liver. They did surgery to remove the tumors and put in a temporary colostomy bag. When I got the surgery and was kind of recovering, I was trying to be optimistic and not be mad at the world, but then I started having a lot of like panic attacks and anxiety attacks. But you know, through it all and through like my faith and everything else and the people that I have, I've been able to really overcome that. And like now I'm probably like too optimistic at this point when I was told I got 2 years to live. And so like, you know, a lot of people tell me that's like they would have never guessed, like with my energy levels and how I act and how I respond, that I've, you know, diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. But that's a compliment because like that's how I want to live. Recovery was not fun, and then on top of learning how to deal with a colostomy bag was a big challenge. And so luckily, you know, I've got a brother that lives here. I've got another brother that lives in Scottsdale, and so he flew into town. My sister at Mass General, they gave her all the time off, and they were like, "Go be with your brother." So she flew in, was kind of like my second nurse, and her boyfriend was there too with me. So I was in there kind of recovering for about a week. They basically said, "We typically don't do this, but you need to be started on chemotherapy as soon as possible." So I started chemo 3 weeks post-op and finished my first round on my 28th birthday. I was kind of thinking, maybe they're like, "Yeah, we've got a great chemo regimen. We'll be able to get you past this. You'll be good." And my oncologist looked me in the eyes and told me he doesn't think I'll live past 2 years. Straight up just was like, "Yep, I don't like, you'd be lucky to live past 2 years with your mutation and how advanced your disease is." And I was like, "Nope, that's not, well, I'm not accepting that." And so, I was with that oncologist for a little bit. I got a second opinion down at MD Anderson. And unfortunately, they kind of told me same thing, like, "This is the only option for you, is this specific, BRAF specific regimen is like your only hope at living past 3 years." And so that hurt a little bit as well, as just all the negativity around me, everybody telling me that I'll be dead in 2 years. And if I can live past that, I'll be lucky. But through kind of change, like with this chemo regimen, doing kind of like a holistic approach of changing the way I eat, what I'm putting into my body, other supplements and different types of like alternative medicine stuff, I've been doing, my most recent scans before I had this surgery, my oncologist estimated that about 90% of the disease on my liver is gone. With which, having 40 tumors originally, he's like mind blown. I completed, before my colostomy reversal, I believe it was 15 rounds, maybe 14 rounds. And then I was supposed to actually have my 16th round this week, but one of the side effects for the Braftovi regimen for my drug called Vectibix is very bad skin rash. So like all over pretty much my entire body, it looks like I have really painful acne, which it is. And so it got so bad to the point where they couldn't give me chemo this week. So I've got to go see a dermatologist. They're giving me some more time off. And then hopefully I'll get back onto it next week. But next week will be my 16th round of chemo. With my chemo regimen, I was on a drug, oxaliplatin, Vectibix, 5-FU, and then I take oral chemotherapy, Braftovi, so 4 different chemos. And I take Braftovi every single day, 4 pills of those. I am now off of oxaliplatin because it's so toxic and it's given me almost permanent neuropathy in my hands and feet. So I had to stop that after 10 rounds because it got so bad. So now I just do the Braftovi oral chemo every single day. And then every 14 days, I go in for my Vectibix immunotherapy infusion, which I get through my port. And then I get my 5-FU pump that I'll have for 46 hours. The response that I've been having to just treatments and everything I'm doing has been very good so far. So I just continue to be optimistic about what I'm doing and think that, eventually I can get to NED, even given against all odds that I've been given. Why are so many people getting colon cancer so advanced at such a young age? And he's like, "We don't really know yet, but in my opinion and through a lot of research, it has to be environmentally related to either the stuff that's in our food supply, all the stuff and chemicals that are getting sprayed, microplastics, all the additive preservatives, everything like that is what's causing it," or at least they think could be like a big factor into why so many young people are getting that. And it makes a lot of sense. As soon as I got home from the hospital, we literally threw everything out of our pantry, and we only order stuff from like Thrive Marketplace, and we go to Sprouts and Whole Foods, and we try to do everything as organic. Like, we started a garden at our house. Our neighbors have chickens and they give us their eggs. So like, we try to do our best to know where our food's coming from and not get stuff that's overly processed. I'm very conscious now about what I put into my body. So like, for me personally, I try to avoid a lot of gluten now to reduce inflammation, to, fight against the cancer. I take a lot of supplements like B vitamin complex, vitamin C, vitamin E, milk thistle, turmeric, all different types of things, probiotics. I mean, whatever it is, like, I'm trying to do to help with my body and help fight this. And I think a lot of it is contributing outside of the chemotherapy and also helping me feel better from my chemo. I think a lot is said by the way and what we're putting into our bodies, um, is helping us. I urge everybody, whether you're going through cancer or not, just change how you eat. Like, get all that crap out and fix it. And so that's another kind of goal of mine too, is just to try to help people eat a lot better. The bag reversal went really well. I'm up, moving around. I get the staples out, and I got a 3 week follow up a week from today. So um, it's been great. I'm very lucky and very blessed to be in this position to at least have this surgery. And so, like, a lot of the my like numbers and everything, all my cancer markers are still looking good, even with a break from chemo and whatnot and having the surgery. So I'm in a pretty good spot right now. The tumors in the peritoneal wall are very hard to see on scans. And so, like, they could see something before, but we couldn't, excuse me, tell if it was like tumors or if it was just like scar tissue from my colostomy bag and the initial surgery or what it could have been. And unfortunately, whenever my doctor opened me up, he found like 4 tumors right there. And so he ended up taking 4 of them out, biopsying a couple, and then sending some off. And he was like, yeah, those are definitely cancer. So um, we don't know how many more. If, I mean, there maybe could be more, there may not be. We don't really know how many are left kind of in there. So the goal is to kind of see on some PET scans coming up in September, what we can try to find from in there. And then, plan of attack is just continue what I've been doing as far as chemo, and then look at that high pec surgery potentially in 2026 to maybe try to get all those out if we possibly can, and just continue to target the liver. After I got diagnosed, that first probably month or two was very rough on me mentally, but ever since then, I've been doing really well mentally and physically. So like the chemo's not as harsh on me anymore now that I don't take the oxaliplatin drug, which is good. I've been working through it the entire time, which has helped me a lot mentally to try to, stay as normal as much as possible. And now I'd say with the kind of colostomy bag reversal, that's helped me a lot in terms of my quality of life, I think, moving forward, which is great. And I mean, outside of the neuropathy, like, I work out, I am able to still hunt and do the things that I love to do. And actually, without the bag now, I'm optimistic that I can get back to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training, which is like one of my favorite things to do in life and helps me a lot mentally and kind of like a big release for me. And so I've been able to golf through all of it. The tail end of my hospital stay and then that first week at home, that's when it really started hitting me that my life is kind of changed forever. And I was in a really bad headspace and everything, and I was having very bad, anxiety attacks and panic attacks and whatnot. And so I was really struggling. And then I kind of had like a wild, kind of like faith moment that really changed everything for me following that. And so that's whenever everything changed for me, and I was able to kind of get rid of all of that anxiety and panic and everything and worry. And so kind of ever since then, I've been able to really lean into that and my friendships and my family and my wife, and be able to um, really stay optimistic and faithful, and just keep moving forward, and continue to really focus on just every single day. I used to get really anxious about thinking about the future, like what is 2 months going to look like from now, what is a year from now going to look like, and that gave me a lot of anxiety and worry. And so I now just kind of focus on every single day, and not try to look too far ahead, and then just enjoy what I have in front of me and not worry about what tomorrow is going to look like. And so that's helped me a lot. I had a couple friends, college teammates of mine, fly into town after I got diagnosed, and they surprised me. And one of my friends and his wife brought me a new Bible and a new kind of like daily devotional thing. And so I was like, this is perfect. I have been like asking and trying to like get myself to really hop back in my faith for a very long time. I was just not happy with like the person that I was, or what I like. It's not like anything was super bad. I just wasn't really like, I was kind of empty and not fulfilled, and I wasn't happy with who I was and like what I did. So I use that as a really good opportunity. And I was like, I had a very bad panic attack and anxiety attack. And so like that next morning, I sat down at the kitchen table with my wife, and we opened up the devotional. And one of the verses in the devotional was Matthew 6:34. And in the Bible, it's Jesus talking about anxiety and worry. And to the point, he talked about, like, why worry about tomorrow? Tomorrow's going to have its own troubles. Today's trouble is enough for today. Just focus on today. And I don't know how to describe it other than this. In that exact moment, sitting with my wife at the table, I quite literally felt like a massive hug wrap around me. Like, it was crazy. I've never experienced anything like this in my life. Like, wrap around me. And like the best way I can describe it is like a lake being perfectly flat and like glass. And in that moment, I literally felt like everything, like all of the anxiety and worry get pushed out of me. And I literally was like shaking and crying. And it was the most like overwhelming experience of my life. And in that moment, I literally like texted my friends and I looked at Hannah and I said, like, this is the craziest feeling ever. And in that moment, I have never in my life been more sure that God and Jesus is real and that like I'm going through this for a reason. And so the more I continued to think about it, like I kept praying every single night, like, God, please do something in my life to bring me closer to you, change my life and change my faith. And all of this happened. And so it's like, I'm almost grateful that I got diagnosed with this, because without this, none of this would have ever happened. To be able to talk about colon cancer and raise awareness about it and like legitimately try to save lives. So that's why we started this foundation, the 3929 Foundation. The number 39 is for a family friend of mine. His name's Matt Fitzmaurice. His dad, Al Fitzmaurice, played for the Kansas City Royals and passed away from cancer in December. And a few weeks later, I got diagnosed. And so the 29 was my number growing up throughout my entire life. And so we decided to start this foundation. Our goal in that is to be able to help people financially, who are them and their families who are going through cancer. Because I know from experience, my chemo treatments every other week are $81,000. We know like how difficult it can be to like make a payment on your mortgage or buy something for the house when you've got medical bills to pay. So that's kind of our first thing, is where people can kind of go to our website to be able to apply for like financial assistance and help them out. And then also kind of do some, like, we're working to do some kind of like surprise donations and surprise checks to people at the KU Cancer Center whenever I get treatments as well, to help them out. And then the second thing is, like I said, to provide education and resources to people specifically about colon cancer, to raise awareness about that. I feel lucky and grateful that I'm going through this and that I'm able to help people. I just hope that however long I am here for, that I can help and impact as many people as I possibly can. So that's what I'm here to do. It's one of my like callings, and a reason I'm going through this is to help bring awareness and raise awareness about the signs and symptoms of it. And so probably one of the most rewarding things that has happened is that, since I got diagnosed, I've probably had over 50 people who I either know or who I have never met in my life from across the country have reached out to me and told me that because of my story and my diagnosis and the symptoms and everything that I've shared, they've gotten checked out and have gotten colonoscopies. My perspective on everything in life has changed. Now, like, it's very wild, and it's like I needed this in a weird way. Like I really needed this, and I tell people all the time, I feel the best, not necessarily physically, sometimes I do, but mentally and just like spiritually and everything, living with like all these tumors and stage 4 cancer and all this going on. This is the best I've ever felt in my life. Like, and I genuinely mean that. And it's crazy for me to say that, but it's true. Like, I am so grateful that I've gotten this opportunity. And yes, it absolutely sucks. There's a lot of stuff I can't do anymore. And some days chemo makes me want to feel like death might not be so bad, but I wouldn't change anything about this. Getting multiple opinions is by far the best thing you can do. There's a bunch of places we look at to go get opinions at, because like everybody has a different approach to how they do it, whether they do traditional chemotherapy, repurposed medicine, alternative medicine, whatever it is. Like, I'm open to anything to save my life and to get this out of my body. So it's like, I'm not going to settle with what one person thinks, and what's great is that my new oncologist, he's like, I want you to go get opinions from other places. If you need help getting those set up, let me know. Because he's not like the type of person that's just like, whatever I say goes, I know best, like a doctor like that. He wants me to go wherever and get as many opinions as possible. It is your life, right? Like, it is your health and your life. Go do what you need to do. Do not settle. Absolutely do not settle for just one person's opinion. You have to go see multiple people and get an opinion from as many people as possible, and a different, approaches as possible to see what may work and what may not. Because there's so many different treatment options out there. Listen to your body. Like, if you notice anything, like, actually pay attention to your body and to anything going on. If anything is different, go get checked out, go see somebody, because I would always push it off no matter what it was, thinking that I don't need to go to the doctor, it'll just go away, everything like that. And I often think about, through 2024, what if in July, when I started, if I would have actually paid attention and cared about the things going on, if I noticed I was starting to feel fatigued and my stool was thinning and changing and looking different, if I were to go get checked out and they were to find something, maybe I wouldn't have had a complete blockage. Maybe I wouldn't have had 40 tumors on my liver, and maybe would have had 2, and it would have been a lot different story. Maybe I would have been stage 2 or 3 instead of stage 4, so it's like, listen to your body. If you feel like anything is off or wrong, don't neglect it. Go get checked out. Because I was the exact opposite. And, obviously I regret it a little bit not checking it out earlier. But just be aware of that. Take your body seriously. Take your health seriously. Change the way you eat. Be conscious of that, of what you're putting into your body and how you're treating it. Exercise as much as possible. Just try to make a change to your life in a good way.